Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Toronto. So this will go the way we've been going for most of the playoffs. If you could wait for the mic before you ask your question, identify who you are so we know where you're from. And I think that Masai wanted to open with a few words.
Just wanted to say welcome to Toronto. It's a really exciting time for us in the city, and I think it's such a blessing to have the opportunity for our team, our city, our country to play in the NBA Finals. I want to use this opportunity to thank our ownership, Larry Tannenbaum, and George Cope, Edward Rogers, and Bell and Rogers. Has been very encouraging for us, and the support has been amazing. Lastly, our unbelievable fans, the support they've given us around the country. I think you can see the sentiment around everywhere. There's so much excitement, passion, energy that we're excited to get started. So welcome to Toronto.
Questions for Masai, please? We'll start with Michael Grange, who is to your right there.
Masai, Michael Grange from Sportsnet. When you were sitting in this building last July, could you have envisioned, or how clearly did you envision having this opportunity just, I guess, 11 months later to be speaking at an NBA Finals?
It's surreal, but I think when you put the team together, and we all dream of a championship. We all think about that, and I think the change was hard at the time, and but we knew the kind of player we were getting, and if we overcame and we dealt with all the issues that we felt that could come together, I think we were all positive about this kind of moment and all dreamt about it. The players have been unbelievable. The coaches have been remarkable. We've had remarkable leadership from Kawhi, Kyle, Marc Gasol, and Nick leading the way. This is what you put yourself in position, and our jobs is to try and create that team, try and create the atmosphere for them, the workplace for them to prepare, and there's been a lot of preparation, and they've done an incredible job.
To Tim, who's just to the right of
Masai, Tim Reynolds with the AP.
Hi.
You spoke of Nick. I know the job is not done, of course, so it's unfair to ask you to assess before the season's complete, but the spot that he was put into, it's always awkward when you replace someone who's the reigning coach of the year, someone who you worked for. How would you say that he sort of navigated those choppy waters and got the team to this place? How would you sort of assess what he's done to this point?
To give Dwayne Casey credit, he prepared us for this too. It's not something that started in 1 year. I don't know that a team can just start in 1 year. So I think I want to say that Dwayne Casey and DeMar DeRozan are part of this. They are part of our journey and how far this has come. So I think Nick has done a great job. Just taking it from there and building his own identity and building a team that he wanted to coach in a certain way, and bringing up us to this moment. He's made the right adjustments, I think, and it's been a roller coaster sometimes, and we've had tough games. We've had really, really tough games. Sometimes in this game, you need some luck here and there. We're a hard-working team, and I think Nick has that persona and that ethic that really translates to everybody and the whole organization as a whole.
Jeff, did you have one? Jeff Zilgett and he's on your right.
Jeff
Raptors
Zilgett,
back.
USA Today. Masai, just a little bit of a follow-up to Tim's question on Nick. He's had a Game 7 in his first playoffs, Eastern Conference Finals. Maybe if you could go a little deeper on what's impressed you about what he's done in the playoffs.
Sometimes, when you're dealing with pressure and these games coming every other day, and you thinking on the fly, thinking during the games, the adjustments to make. Being a first-year head coach, there's going to be an adjustment period, and I think he's done remarkably well, even using some of his past experiences. He talks about the D-League, he talks about Europe, he talks about mixing lineups and different players at different times with what we've gone through this year with trades and load management and injuries and all the different things. And Nick has just been one to never complain, never. It's always how does he adjust? How does he use what he has with the players? And to me, that's one thing that has really stood out with him, and he's done a remarkable job.
To Eric Kareen, who's in the third row beside Michael Grange.
Eric Kareen, The Athletic. Obviously, Kawhi's health was a story throughout the season and when you made the trade. Was there a point during this season that you thought, okay, he's in a really good place, we might get to see the very best he has to offer, or is that sort of progressed even throughout the playoffs that it became more certain that you'd be able to see that?
Honestly, as soon as we made the trade, I thought that, as soon as the guy was in our hands, to get a player like that, he made it clear that his health was a priority for him. It was a priority for us, and to see the progress and just his mindset when he came into the building and into training camp, the work he did in the summer, coming into training camp, and the work he's done all year. Kawhi is quiet, but he's relentless. I'll tell you, his work ethic is almost crazy how his regiment, taking care of his body and doing all the work. So with where there's preparation, I think you're confident, and when you see the preparation throughout the season, what this kind of player, or you feel what this kind of player is going to produce. And you don't wish this kind of injury on anybody, but you could tell with him it was a priority to get back to the highest level.
6 rows back on your right, Masai.
Masai, Greg Brady from Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
Hey, Greg.
You don't have a draft lottery player on this team. You have the roster acquisition or composition that's really unusual. You've had to trade lottery picks to get where you need to go. Does it speak to how astutely the Raptors have drafted and how other organizations, the organizations that drafted Kawhi and Kyle and Marc Gasol, have drafted? It's incredibly unusual.
I give the credit to Bobby Webster, Dan Tolzman, Teresa, Keith, these guys that work, I think, tirelessly scouting these players and studying these players, evaluating them, and trying to see what kind of players fit with us. Our tone is set by Kyle Lowry, and I think that the way he plays, his attitude towards the game and winning. Because at the end of the day, I think sports is all about winning. And the mentality of Kyle really translates. The mentality of Kawhi, the mentality of Danny Green, of Marc Gasol. These guys are Serge Ibaka. They are built a certain way, and we do our best to study. And you hope when these players are put together that the chemistry comes together. But I think it starts from the leaders, and our job is to go and find these type of players. And I think our player personnel and scouting department do an unbelievable job.
We'll go to Sky Sports, who's at the back on your left, Masai.
Hi, Masai. How you doing? JD from Sky Sports UK. when I kind of look at your career, you're born to African parents, you're born in England. Your head coach as well, obviously, is coveted around the world in terms of a basketball savant. And 2 of your stars also come from Africa. Has it always been in your foresight to kind of make the Raptors a global NBA team?
I think it says a lot that the first NBA Finals outside America is being played here. Maybe one day we'll be real world champions or something. But this is what we dream of. Every day you come to work, this is it, and it's overwhelming because you think. When I look at all the international players we have on our team, and from Mark and even our staff, the people on our staff, the backgrounds, it's really brought us together. And I think it says so much because that's how our city is, that's how the country is, that we can all relate to the multicultural or the diversity of Toronto and Canada. And that's how our team is. They talk in different languages on defense. They talk in different languages in the locker room, and it's like that in our organization. And being international myself and being from Africa, I'm proud of that.
Standing up to your right, Masai at the back.
Hi, Kareth Burke, NBC Sports Bay Area. When your team arrived at the finals, you said Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the league. From the Warriors' perspective, Steve Kerr said KD is the most skilled player in the league, and I understand teams love their guys. But what is the distinction in your mind that makes Kawhi the best?
I don't know that any of those people will argue with me that he's the best two-way player in the NBA. And when we talk about basketball, we're talking about playing on both ends. And I feel that if we put him on both ends of the court, he has the ability to be the best player in the league. And that's where it came from.
So we're going to Tim Bontemps, who's in the middle, Coach.
Hey, Masai. You mentioned Kyle a few times and his leadership with this team. Obviously, you guys have been through a lot the last several years. I was just curious, what have you seen from him in terms of his evolution, both on and off the court, and how has that translated to the ways he has helped lead you guys to the finals this year?
There's something about that guy that I just believe in. It's incredible. We've been through so much, and he's a winner. There's no other way to put it. He's a winner. He's been hit upside the head from every different angle and every different angle in the world, whether it's personal, everything. And he survives it, but every day he comes to win. Doesn't matter what mood he's in, he comes to win. And I saw that one day playing in the gym here when this was still our practice facility, and nobody knew I was watching that day. It's like 4 or 5 years ago, and they were playing pickup basketball, and the way he just competed without anybody being in the gym. There was just 5-on-5 and a couple coaches in there. It was preseason, and he played his ass off, and that's just how he is, and he leads us, I think, in the right way. And yes, we've gone through, we've had our ups and downs, but I think this year there was a really good moment where we sat down and we really talked about what we wanted to accomplish. And it was a tough conversation, but these are conversations that you have to have. I did understand how Kyle felt when obviously we made the trade, and it was tough. DeMar's his best friend. I do understand that completely. And that's the toughest part of the business that we all talk about. But in terms of Kyle, I've seen him grow. I've seen him grow as a person, as a leader on our team. And it can only get better from here.
To Jared Greenberg, who's standing up to your left, Masai.
Masai, Jared Greenberg, NBA TV. A recent online survey concluded that all but 3 of the U.S. states are rooting for the Raptors to win the championship this year. Mm-hmm. For a fan base that has built its bones on us against the world, how does it feel now to be playing for a title knowing that you're the fans' choice to win?
It feels good. We don't want to. I don't know if it's underdog. We just feel like we've prepared well to be here. And you go through that grind. It's very flattering, you know, for us as a team, as an organization. I know our players would love that that we get that support. But these guys have prepared, to be honest, and we've been trying to prepare for this moment to get here. And it's been a grind, you know. We get mocked, we get people talk about us in different ways, but for us, that's the growth. That's the thing. Those are the things that we have to go through. But I can tell you, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy here tomorrow. It's gonna be crazy here on Sunday. It's gonna be crazy here for a few days because that's the mentality of our fan base, and we know it's across the world. That's something special about here. We can reach the world easy from here, from Canada, and we're happy to be the global team that represents the NBA.
Sitting down, Masai, on the left.
Hi, Adrian Gober with City TV here in Toronto. Masai, you kind of touched on it there a little bit in your opening remarks as well. What do you feel it means, not just for the Raptors, but the city of Toronto, to have the global spotlight on our city and perhaps putting to rest some of the misconceptions about Toronto and basketball in this country?
Yeah, we heard all of it. Again, I say we have to grow to get to this moment, you know, and it's such an incredible city, sports city, whether you're talking about us or the Leafs or the Blue Jays or TFC. It's a great sports city, and there's room for everybody. It's incredible how diverse it is. And we're going to continue to grow this and live this in this city. You see the fans, and wherever you go, whether it's a restaurant, everywhere, the support has been, I think, amazing for us. And I said it when I came here. I know this city will win. And it's not me or anybody. There's something about it here, and sports. It comes around. Many cities will win, you know, and Toronto will win too.
So we're going to go to Josh Lewinberg, Masai, who's...
Josh Lewinberg, TSN. Masai, you brought Pascal in with the 27th pick. You obviously saw something in him then, but could you have imagined him developing into the player he is today as quickly as he has, and how big has that been in terms of getting you guys here this year?
I'll tell you, when I saw him in Basketball Without Borders, no. We all want to act like we know everything, but we don't. That guy has been incredible, and I think his progress you've seen even during the year. Pascal, I think, should have been an all-star. He wasn't an all-star. At all-star, he elevated. After all-star, he elevated. And was there a chip on his shoulder? During the playoffs, everybody said he's young, new player in the NBA. He elevated even more. He's been an unbelievable revelation for us. But I know Pascal, and we've had these moments of talk, and he specifically said to me a couple years ago that he doesn't want to be one of those African players that's labeled, whether it's a shot blocker or a defender or a rebounder or he runs. He wants to be a star. He wants to be a versatile player in this league, and he wants to be able to do it all. And he's put the work into it. We all used to hold our breaths when he took a three-point shot. We all used to hold our breath sometimes when he went on the fast break, and now we can't wait till he does that. Again, it's preparation, it's practice, it's work ethic, it's that mindset of winning, and I think he has that mindset too.
To just down from where Josh is to the left there.
Masai, Joe Varden from The Athletic. You mentioned something earlier about difficult conversations, and one of the storylines surrounding your team all year has been what will happen with Kawhi Leonard in the future. When was the last time you discussed his future with him, and how have you, if you have, made the case to him that the Raptors is where he should be long term?
I said it from day one, we're going to be us. I think Kawhi Leonard is a superstar, and we're going to treat him like a superstar, but we're also going to do all the natural things that I think will help us get to that level to convince Kawhi that this is the place for him. And the future conversations I've had with Kawhi about the Golden State Warriors, and that's his mindset. His mindset is what is at hand right now. What's the job right now? And the job right now is to beat the Golden State Warriors. I think when he came here, he made it clear he wanted to be healthy. He wants to play on a good team that will compete. And I think kudos to Alex McKechnie and Kawhi's team. I think they've worked together to get him slowly back to playing at this level after playing only 9 games last year. I think when he sees with the city, the fan base, basketball, I think coaching, everything almost has to come together. And I think there was an incredible moment in Game 7 with that shot. All these things, I think, naturally they have to come together. And I think we're blessed here in Toronto that it's slowly coming together for us. But the trust, you hope to build that trust where at the end of the day, we know that there are 2 tough moments in sports, in the job that we do, that make it very, very difficult, and that's trading a player and when a player leaves in free agency. We all have to prepare ourselves for everything, and I think we've built this trust in a way that whatever it is, I think we would have prepared ourselves.
We're going to do 2 more questions. We'll go to Vince, who's sitting down on your right, Masai, halfway back there.
Hi, Vince.
Hi, Vince Ellis, Detroit Free Press. Aside for the Kawhi Leonard acquisition, is there anything else that you take away from your past playoff disappointments that how you addressed or how you went about building your current roster?
Yes, we needed to. I think we needed to figure out a way where we played sometimes a little smarter, sometimes the way we defended, sometimes the way we adjusted to games, sometimes our toughness, sometimes just going through those games, having those sweeps or those defeats. That teaches you, I think. Our team maybe, hopefully, were a little bit more versatile. I think we saw when we played Orlando or we played a big team like the Sixers, I think we were able to compete with them. It was a tough series, but we were able to compete. Same thing with Milwaukee. And I think Nick is able to make adjustments in terms of the personnel we have. And all these things, there's no knock here on the past, honestly, because we were part of the past. So we're part of that defeat too. We're part of the knock. So we just have to learn from it. That's what I think good organizations should do. And we learned from that, and we find ourselves here, and there'll be more learning moments, I think, but we play sports to win. That's why we play the game, is to win. And that's what we want to do here, is to win.
So the last question is from Kayla Gray, who's at the very back, Masai.
Hi, Masai. Kayla Gray, TSN.
Hi.
You talk about the timeline. At the start of the season, obviously, you're losing a DeMar DeRozan, gaining Kawhi Leonard. Was there any point in the season where things started to click for you guys, maybe facing DeMar, maybe Kawhi returning to the Spurs, or that game against the Spurs? Was there any point where things started to feel right in terms of buy-in and that trust that you talked about?
I think it's different moments for different people, I think, on the team. It's hard. I'm not big on the trade deadline. I think people know here I like development, I like growth, and we did try a couple years ago, we made a couple moves at the trade deadline, and it didn't work. So sometimes you take your chances. Sometimes these are the things that you have to do. For me, I don't know that there's any specific moment that I felt that it clicked, because every day you're trying to work. Every day you're trying to build. Every day you're trying to prepare for moments like this. So I don't know that there's one particular moment, but it's a season, and you have your ups and downs, and hopefully we've prepared ourselves the right way.
Thanks very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because yes, look to the right of Rob, and you'll see me wearing a blue jacket. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. What's that? Yeah, well, someone's talking to me, calling me, and then and then I'm talking to Zed. I'm talking to everyone else. So like, I don't know. You get someone's. Okay, that's gonna happen. You know, okay, I'll try not to talk. I'll try not to talk.
your affiliation before you ask the question. Thank you. Go over here to Dan, right there, in the blue.
Hi, Nick. Dan Wecke,
Hi,
Los
Dan.
Angeles Times. There was a play, I think, in Game 6 where Kyle dove for a loose ball twice on the same play. Is that kind of emblematic as to what he does for this team in winning possessions and all that stuff? I think Masai earlier called him the leader of the team. And do you feel that he's sort of the heartbeat here?
Well, I think for sure, you know, he's been probably the leader, you know, since we got here. And again, he's a natural kind of leading type personality. He plays the point guard position. He plays a tough brand of basketball, so that's leading by example, the way you play that way. And you know, the possession you're talking about, you could go back and find a few of those. I think Game 5 or Game 4, I can't remember which one, down in Orlando. He got a rebound late in the game in a one-possession game that kind of sealed the win. It might have been 2 rebounds in the same possession in that thing, and not unlike, you know, Kawhi getting a big offensive rebound in Game 6 here against Milwaukee. So he makes a lot of tough plays, takes charges, blocks out a lot of bigger people, and he does lead by example.
Third row on the left, John.
Coach, John Schumann, NBA.com. How much will your defensive success in this series sort of go beyond the game plan and into your players' ability to react and sort of adapt on the fly and even communicate with each other on the fly?
Remains to be seen, obviously, but I think, you know, just looking back at the series we've played, I think there's been a lot of, you know, I wouldn't say some of the adjustments we made were done, you know, really on the fly, right? Some of that communication that you're talking about that maybe wasn't the exact coverage we were in or coverage we wanted to be in, or somebody would communicate, like you just said, communicate a different deal, a switch or an on switch or whatever it would be, and just make the next play. And I think against this team, I think against most teams in the NBA, you gotta play that way, especially this time of year. So I would imagine that we're gonna be encountering a few issues, and you're gonna have to figure them out, and maybe a help defender is gonna have to save you at the end, or a help the helper defender may have to save you, or whatever. But you know, that's you know, defensive stuff starts with a willingness to want to play it, and then a great IQ to want to do it, and then like you said, communication.
Second row on the right to Mark.
Mark Schwartz, ESPN. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Mark.
The other day, Draymond Green went on the record and called himself the best defender ever. I'm wondering what you think and how he compares to one of your guys, Kawhi Leonard, and what it is that makes Kawhi the elite defender that he is.
Well, I would say that both those guys are in the same discussion, right? I always think that there's always a discussion of some guys, and they're right there. And I would say both of them. First of all, you got some physical abilities, you know, some God-given abilities. You got some size, speed, athleticism, quickness. And then you go to the next part of it is, and I always keep saying this, you got a tremendous desire and pride to stop people, right, and make plays and want to infuse your team with enthusiasm to play defense. What was the second part of your question again? Yeah, a lot, and a lot of those things. I think Kawhi again takes a lot of pride in being a two-way player. And that's again really where it starts. You got to want to do it, and then again he's got some IQ. He's got really you know, good body and athleticism. He's got these really big hands that, you know, get in there and snatch the ball away sometimes. And I always say that probably impresses me about him more than anything is when he, you know, the scoring's great and the big baskets are great and all that stuff, but when he makes up his mind to impact a play on the defensive end and next thing you know, he's got the ball coming the other way and getting maybe a transition bucket. Those are huge momentum plays.
Sixth row on the left to Jeff.
Jeff Zilgett, USA Today. Nick, you've coached in England. You've coached small college ball, G League. What about those experiences prepared you for this, your first NBA head coaching job? And along the way, was there ever a moment that you wondered if it would break your way and you would get to where you wanted to go?
Well, first of all, I think like my goal early in becoming a head coach so young was to find out if I could do it. I just wanted to see if I could be a good head coach and then start learning from head coaching. So all those stops of, I don't know how many years it was, 18, 20 years of being a head coach in, some pretty remote places was still, I think, valuable learning experience for me from just, running and managing the team and being up in front of a team and preparing scouting reports and trying to figure out chemistry and lineups and schemes. Again, I used a lot of it as a testing ground. I remember one year we were a full court pressing team the entire game, and I just wanted to see what that system kind of netted or felt like. And again, like in RGV, we did a lot of testing of things, and it was just all really good, like laboratory, right? So I guess I recommend that. Right, I recommend for any young coach that head coaching experience and being up in front of a team is important.
Second row, Eric Green.
Hey, Nick. Eric Green, The Athletic. Two-part question. First, I'm just curious if you have any memories of the game of Kawhi against the Warriors where he hurt his ankle. And the second part is, at what point or period of this season did you realize that the load management was really going according to plan and you might see the best that this guy has to offer?
I do have memories of that game. I watched the whole game. I think it was yesterday or the day before on tape. So I know it pretty well. It's pretty fresh in my mind.
Anything stand out to you?
Well, no, I'm just, again, I'm just trying to watch like I do, like any coach does. I'm just trying to watch coverages and things like that I, any things I can pick up that stuck out as far as the way they guarded him and who guarded him and all that kind of stuff. Just trying to gather as much information as you can. And the load management thing, first of all, I'd like to give a lot of credit to Alex McKechnie and his staff. They were, countless hours in preparation and really smart ideas and planning, really, on that to both physically and mentally get Kawhi to where he was able to start playing the way he wanted to play in the playoffs. When did I sense it? I just kind of started getting a feeling about it, and I don't know, after the All-Star break, February, March, I kind of kept thinking that he was holding back a little bit or he was getting his 30 points, but it seemed like he wasn't extending a whole lot of effort some nights to do it. And I was looking and thinking there was another gear maybe coming. And then he said something to the effect of these first 82 are just practice. And then I thought, okay, then he's getting ready to throw it in another gear here pretty soon.
Final question, right side, middle, Tim Reynolds.
Hey, Nick. Tim Reynolds with the AP. Another Kawhi defense question, but him on the offensive end, the Warriors have probably more guys than any other team in the league that can throw an elite body in front of them. They can throw Clay, they can throw Draymond, they're going to throw Andre. I think everybody expects that. How do you kind of anticipate them to defend him? And because he has such an innate knowledge of the defensive end of the floor, does that work to his advantage as an offensive player when he's facing another elite defender?
Well, I think, first of all, I would say, they're gonna probably do something similar to what we're gonna do. There's a lot of bodies that can guard a lot of different people, and I think you in a series are gonna see a lot of different people. And plus, in this game, which these guys probably have maybe I don't know if they invented they've brought the switching defense to prominence years ago. Then now that so both teams are going to be switching a lot. So matchups naturally, ends up heck in one possession, 3 different guys are guarding a guy because there's screening going on. So I think both teams probably go in with the mindset of, okay, that's our ideal matchup, and your chance to play primary defender if you don't want to switch some stuff and keep a certain guy on him that's having good luck. And yeah, I just think, any of these guys in the league that are such great scorers, they see so many different schemes and defenses, and as the years tick by, they'll see switching, they'll see denials, they'll see double teams, they'll see, come after one dribble. They'll see all kinds of things that they get used to playing. And I would say probably their knowledge of defense translates to how they would defeat some of that stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Kawhi's next. I know, thank you. So the first one's going to be right here. Right here, Stephen, yeah. First question, Stephen, left side, first row.
Stephen Long, Sportsnet. Kawhi, I'm just curious about, can you take me back to first memories of when you first played in the finals? Like what kind of nerves there are there, and if you still feel any of those right now?
It's just anxiousness, wanting to get to the game and play. And, I was young, my first finals, 20, probably second year in the league. And, not knowing really what to expect. But, after that, going into my second one, you pretty much know what to expect. And, we were playing the same team, but it's still the same. It's the same basketball game. It's 5-on-5. Still 2 hoops, so you just got to go out there and play hard and live with the results.
Back in the right side, way in the back.
Kawhi, Jordan Fontaine, Rogers Sportsnet. Just wondering, before coming to Toronto, your impressions of Toronto as a basketball city, and now having played and lived here, have those impressions changed at all?
Now you get to see how it is every day, or, for 41 games. And, before you come, their crowd does come out when you're playing here on the road, but I also was on the West, so I only played them once a year. And, like I said, now I'm here for 41 games during the regular season. You get to live in the city, see how, if guys or girls wearing hats, jerseys, how much support is really around the city. And, now in the playoffs, you get to see everybody outside the arena and seeing how, excited they are for the game and how much support is there too. So, it's been an exciting year. Just those, pretty much, that's what pretty much changed for me, just being able to see it visually. And, like I said, I'm in and out during the regular season.
Second row on the right, Mark.
Kawhi, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. Draymond Green recently called himself the best defender of all time. You're right there with him, and you have as many all-defensive appearances and first team as he does. I'm wondering if you could compare yourself on defense to him and talk about what it is that gives you so much ability on that side of the ball.
And I think he should feel that way about himself. You have to come in these games confident and, know what you could do on the floor. But, I don't know how to just compare myself against him. I don't really do that. Just for myself and what I bring to the game, I guess we both bring, we could switch, 1 through 4, 1 through 5 on the floor. Both bring energy to the game. We want to play defense. We want to stop the player in front of us. And, that's pretty much me leading them on that end of the floor as well.
Right side in the middle, towards the end. Tim, go ahead.
Tim Reynolds with the AP. Kawhi, kind of along the same lines as Mark's question, because you are such a good defensive player, such a great defensive player, how much does that help you on the offensive end, prepare for a game, prepare for a series, and as you try to work through figuring out what the Warriors are going to try to do against you in certain situations?
I mean, I guess that helps me. It just, we might get a steal, help my team get an easy look in transition, or, being able to play defense. We limit them to one shot, probably get a rebound. Come down offense again with some pace. So I guess that helps. And, but it's two different sides of basketball. It's not like just because I get a stop, I'm going to make a shot or do a good move.
Because you have such an understanding of the defensive end, do you think that helps you out as an offensive player when you try to figure out what Andre's going to do against you, or what Clay or what Draymond, whoever's in front of you at a given moment?
Not really. I've never really thought of it that way, but maybe. There's good offensive players that are not good defensive players either, or the other way around. Good defense, not a good offense. So I think it just really comes to being smart and just being in those situations before, and just knowing what's going to happen. Going through years of playing and seeing defensive schemes or offensive schemes, and it pretty much helps you watching film and seeing, how they guarded other guys or me in the past.
Same area on the right side. Go to Phil.
Hey, Kawhi. Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press, Democrat. I think most coaches and players in this league would put you amongst the very best players in the NBA, but you probably don't have as much popular fame as some other guys like LeBron and Steph Curry. Do you prefer to fly under the radar a little? Does it ever bother you that you don't have as much notoriety as some other guys?
No, I'm not playing the game for that reason. I'm out here playing to have fun and trying to be the best player I could be. And, I'm happy with myself and, what I have done in my career. And I'm just going to keep going from there. It's not about me being famous or want to have more fame than those guys. It's about me playing basketball and having fun on the floor.
Final question, back on the right, Greg.
Hey, Kawhi. Obviously, there's a lot more distractions when you get to this level. We're seeing that today. They're a team that's been here now 5 straight times. They've got guys that have experience. There are a lot of guys in your locker room that don't have experience dealing with this kind of attention, this hoopla, the circus that surrounds the NBA Finals. I know you've been there before. What do you tell the guys? Do you have advice for those guys?
Yeah, most guys been through, been into the Eastern Finals on this team, and as each series goes, you get more media or ask more questions about what's going on. But my thing is just, once this is over, it's still between the lines. You're playing 5-on-5, like I just told him. We're still playing basketball. We have a scheme. Just focus on that and don't focus on no outside attention. And we know what we need to do. You're inside this locker room every day, so don't pay attention to people who are not in your locker room.
Thank you.
It's easy to do. It's not an easy job. You realize how hard it is for some of those guys, those analysts, politicals, those guys, TV analysts, the commentators, and kind of see. Radio is not for me. Certain things are not for me, or not how tough it is to be able to talk as fast or have that voice. You just see the level of difficultness in the things that they do.
Danny, thank you. Danny, you understand, you're one of the few players on the team that understand what it takes to win a championship and understand that. What insight have you given to your teammates?
Just all year trying to prepare them of doing things the right way, being professional. They know that, though. Just the little things. That's kind of what's going to separate a good part of the game. Setting good screens, cutting hard, getting rebounds, chasing down, loose balls, getting the 50-50 balls. The effort plays. Those go a long way because every possession matters, especially on this stage.
Danny, along those lines, season has kind of talked about the strength in numbers that you have in terms of the depth on the 10 of you. Anybody?
Second row on the right to Mark.
Pascal, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. First of all, two-part question. Draymond Green called himself the best defender ever recently, and you might have to go up against Draymond quite a bit in this series. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on his defense. And secondly, your teammate Kawhi Leonard has just as many defensive accolades. What makes Kawhi an elite, world-class defender?
I think I'm gonna ask the Kawhi question first. I'm gonna answer the Kawhi question first. But I think what makes him special, just his length. He definitely understands the game and kind of like knows like kind of what's gonna happen. And then I mean his physical features are just amazing in his hands and being able to just deflect passes and get steals. And then he's just a crazy athlete and also just understanding the game. I think Draymond definitely. I think he was Defensive Player of the Year 1 year. So definitely a guy that prides himself on defense and definitely is like the anchor of their defense. And he definitely does a lot of things that are good for them and his energy, being able to move, and his size and also being strong. So.
Which one do you think is better?
Which one do I think is better? I mean, I don't know, but I'm kind of glad to have Kawhi on my team, and the things that he's able to do on defense, and is definitely amazing.
Second row on the left, to Michael.
Pascal.
Second.
Michael Grange here. Michael Grange from Sportsnet. Just taking back a little bit to last summer and even over the course of the year, some of the moves Masai made. What signal did it send to yourself and the team when he made the decision to move on from Dwayne, trade DeMar, trade Jakob, and then Jonas? I mean, how do those moves play in the dressing room? What do you think watching Masai do his job?
I think it was definitely. I mean, some of them I don't know if it was expected or not, but it was definitely things that caught a lot of us off guard. For me, especially just being that close to guys like Jakob and DeMar and all those guys and being here with them, it was definitely something that was tough, a tough pill to swallow, and just knowing that we kind of share stories with these guys and we bond something special. But I think for me, something that I've learned in my little 2 years and going on 3 years is that is that's the nature of it, is the business, and I think as him being a GM or the president and is just trusting that he's making the best decision for the team, and for me being on the team and just moving forward and taking the pieces that are there and trying to make something special out of it.
I mean, what message did you get out of that? Like, if he's willing to make those moves, and
I think he's willing to win. He's willing to win. He's willing to do anything he thinks is the best thing to give us make us in position to win. So that's always been something that he, from the first day I got here, that's his mentality and that's how he thinks. And he's going to do everything in his power and everything he thinks is right to make us win.
Pascal, the right side, third row.
My man, Yahoo Sports. Pascal, you take a lot of pride in continuously improving your game as the months go on. What do you do better than you did in October? Like, wherever you think you made the biggest strides?
I think for me, just being on the floor more, to be honest with you, just playing games. I started playing basketball late. There's a lot of things that I continue to learn every single day. I think being on the floor every single night and playing was definitely something that helped me. And then just in terms of my game, improve my shot, be able to handle the ball better, make reads, and then on defense, just understanding the game a little bit more, watching more film, and knowing rotations and things like that maybe my first year I didn't know as well. So just kind of getting familiar with the game and being a student of the game.
Front row on the left.
Pascal, en français, Myriam est derrière pour Radio-Canada. Maintenant on est à la finale, comment là tu te prépares pour affronter les champions, les Warriors de Golden State?
Je pense que pour nous, d'abord c'est d'être en finale avec tout ce que l'organisation a fait et d'être ici à ce stage. C'est vraiment quelque chose de spécial et je pense que pour nous, c'est la même chose en fait. On essaie de gagner, on essaie de faire tout ce qu'on peut faire pour gagner et c'est ce qui est dans notre tête en fait. pour le moment, c'est la victoire et on va faire tout ce qu'on a à notre pouvoir pour pouvoir gagner.
On te connaît comme étant un joueur très bon à la défense. Est-ce que cette fois-ci, tu vas plus prendre un plus grand rôle à l'offensive également?
Je pense que pour moi, c'est d'essayer d'être moi, être la personne que je suis. La défense, c'est toujours quelque chose que j'ai et je vais toujours utiliser ça. Et puis juste prendre ce que la défense me donne. Ça dépend. Ça ne veut pas dire que je serai agressif en attaque ou peut-être pas. Donc on ne sait pas. Ça dépend du match et comment ça se passe. Et moi, juste lire ce que la défense me donne et l'utiliser en ma faveur.
Left side, fifth row.
Hey, Pascal, Reed Forgrave with CBS Sports. Kawhi is like such an enigma, like the off-court Kawhi to all of us. And I'm curious if you could shed a little bit of light into your off-court relationship with him, or just anything that has surprised you about him as a human being in the past 10 months?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was. I knew I was going to get, some Kawhi, how is it off the court question. But, I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, I think you guys trying to see something, and I don't know. For me, I just see him as Kawhi. Like, he comes in, get his work done, and then off the court, he's just with us like everyone else. Like it's just literally it's normal. Like, it doesn't even feel like, oh, I don't know, like, what is he doing? Like, is it like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just normal. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think he's just normal. Like,
was there anything that surprised you about him? Court was?
I mean, maybe from me not knowing him and watching TV and maybe you feel like there's something there, like, oh, maybe he's different or something. I don't know. I didn't see it. I just see him as, any other player. He does his work and he come with us, hang out, and do all the things that we do.
Left side, third row.
Pascal, Haley Cooper with News Talk 1010. You're entering the biggest games of your career, so paint a picture for what tonight will look like for you and tomorrow morning, heading into the arena and getting your mind right.
I think for me, I mean, it's just obviously you want to say so much that it's going to be a regular day. It's going to be it's just another day, but it's just not another day. It's the finals. It's an exciting time of the year. I think all the eyes, everyone is watching. I mean, it's an important moment, and for me, I'm excited, right? Like I'm just excited. My family is coming down tomorrow. Having some family time, hanging out, and obviously getting ready for the game. But for the most part, it's just I think for me, I like to just hang out with my family and just chill until we have to play.
Final question, second row on the left.
Oui, Pascal, Patrick Bizindavi pour la radio Choc FM a une question en français. Quel effet ça te fait d'être la fierté d'un pays, le Cameroun, et peut-être tout un continent? Ouais. On a vu que même le ministre du Sport vous a envoyé une lettre. Quel est l'effet que ça te fait maintenant durant ces finales?
Ça fait vraiment plaisir, en fait. Ça fait vraiment plaisir pour un enfant du Cameroun et aussi d'Afrique. D'être à ce niveau-ci, c'est vraiment quelque chose d'exceptionnel. Et je suis vraiment fier d'être Camerounais, fier d'être Africain et d'être ici et de représenter l'Afrique, de représenter le Cameroun. Et comme tu l'as dit, avoir le ministre des Sports au Cameroun m'envoyer une lettre et juste pour montrer qu'ils sont tous avec moi. Et je suis sûr que l'Afrique est avec nous et c'est vraiment quelque chose que je ne peux pas expliquer. Je peux pas expliquer ma joie et ma fierté d'être mon pays. Et j'espère que être ici peut envoyer un message à tous les Camerounais, à tous les Africains que c'est possible d'être ici et que si tu travailles dur et que tu fais tout ce que tu as à faire, tu as vraiment la possibilité d'être ici. Peut-être que tu ne seras pas en NBA, mais tu auras la possibilité d'avoir, de rêver et de faire des trucs que tu voulais vraiment accomplir dans ta vie. Donc, c'est vraiment très important et je suis vraiment content d'être le véhicule de ce message-là.
Thank you, Pascal. Kyle Lowry's next.
Oh.
I was like, man, this dude loves the game, and he cares about it, and like he doesn't take it for granted. Like even in that situation, like I don't know. Honestly, I've been around now a lot. Like I don't know how many NBA players, if anybody, would really be like, yeah, I'll just go play in the 82nd game that means nothing, risking my health. And I'm not saying that was the smartest thing, but it showed his passion for the game. And when you have someone who loves the game that much and is that talented, they're going to be great.
Jeremy, you've had 5 days off for this series. It's been 10 days for Golden State. When it comes to time off between series, is there a preference there, and what's the strategy involved for recovering and getting ready for the finals?
I think just as long as you're not dead tired from the previous series, that's good. 10 days, I don't know because I've never experienced that, but 5 days, I feel like that's a good amount to recover, and so I think for us it was the right amount of time.
In the time that you've been here in the city, what have you been able to learn about Toronto? What have you learned about the city around here?
The fan base, that's like everywhere you go is kind of, I mean, I think like the difference is New York is more fans in a bigger city, and it's crazy, and there in that time it was crazy. But because there's so many moving parts in terms of like tourists and other people coming in and out of the city, there's it feels like the large majority knows about what's going on, and that it's like really overwhelming, and there's so many fans. Here, it's like, it feels like 100% of the people know what's going on, but it's.
You ready?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, great. Left-hand side, second row, Marcus.
It's the most work I've ever seen you do right there.
That's funny. Kyle, Marcus Thompson with The Athletic. You've played with Draymond, Team USA. You've played against him for years. Mm-hmm. And you two kind of have a similar disposition as far as like toughness and grind. When you just look at Draymond's career, what do you appreciate about what he's become, and what similarities kind of do you see in yourself?
The work that he's put in, coming into the league, people who said he was undersized this or not, good at that. But he's worked at it. They said he was out of shape, and he got in shape. He got his body right. He improved his jump shooting, improved his conditioning. He always had the toughness, because coming from where he's from, you got to be tough. But for him, I just to respect that how much work you actually got to put in to be a good NBA player, all defensive type player, a defensive player of the year, a champion. He's put the work in, and that's the thing about him is he's put all that work in.
Same area.
I'm sorry. Kyle Paulintunis, ESPN Brazil. In past playoff performances, past playoffs, sometimes you've been criticized about your play in the playoffs. Getting to the finals, do you feel like there's a little bit of vindication for you there?
No. For me, it's all about winning. And, when you get to the point where you made it to the finals, you won, but, you still got more to do. So getting here doesn't, do anything but getting here. We still want to try to win this.
Did anything change for you, confidence-wise, or this year in the playoffs?
No, it's been the same. As long as we win games, I can not score at all. If we win, I don't care. As long as we win games.
Left side, on the row back, fifth row, Josh.
Josh Lewenberg, TSN. Kyle, Masai was speaking earlier about the conversation that you guys had just before the trade deadline, how important that was just in terms of clearing the air. What did that conversation mean to you?
Just kind of get on the same page, understanding that what he wanted from me and what he expected from me, and just kind of being on the same page. It wasn't anything negative. It was just let's get on the same page so we can make this run. Because he believes in what we could do as a team. So that was the biggest thing. Just get on the same page.
Right side, fifth row.
Kyle, you're one of the few guys on the team that played with Alfonso McKinney last year.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about him, and could you have predicted him to have the season, really the postseason that he's had?
Unbelievable kid, man. Great guy. Always laughing, always joking, but seriously hard worker. Always trying to make sure he gets better, making sure he can do whatever he takes to get better. And I couldn't predict it, but I know how hard he would play. I knew how athletic he would be, and he has the mindset to just go out there and do whatever it takes to win. So, I'm happy for him.
Any particular moment, instance that you can remember of him that sticks out?
Nah, not really.
One row behind on the right side, Tim.
Kyle, Tim Reynolds with the Associated Press. I'm curious if you'll indulge and just go way, way back. What are some of the lessons that Jay taught you back at Nova about leadership, quarterbacking, all those things that still hold true for you today, that you still sort of apply today?
I think the one thing Jay is always we never talked about basketball. We talked about life and being a legit person, always just, making sure that you're just upfront. You take everything on the chin. You be legit. If you make a mistake, apologize. Kind of just, accept everything. Accept everything as a man and bounce back from it. If anything negative, just bounce back, take it, and keep going. And I think those are things that, stick with me today. I'd never shy from anything. I never shy from negative criticism, constructive criticism. I take it all. I understand it, learn from it, digest it, and move on.
Second row on the right to Greg.
Kyle, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. Draymond recently called himself the best defender of all time. Wondering what you think of that and where Kawhi ranks on that list and why.
I think he's one of the best defenders at his position. I think Draymond's got a Defensive Player of the Year, so that's important. I think Kawhi's definitely up there for sure.
How would you compare them and what makes them each so great on defense?
Just the anticipation. I think the anticipation they have, the physicality that they bring. I think just the toughness that they bring on both ends. They both have long arms, big hands, understanding where they need to be on the floor and how to help teammates. And then on the ball, the relentless pressure.
Two more questions. Fifth row on the right.
Dan Feldman, NBC Sports. You've been through a lot in your career. You've accomplished a lot in your career before making it to the finals. How did all of that prepare you for this?
Just through my life in general, coming from where I'm coming from. This is basketball. No pressure, just basketball.
There was a point in your career where you're trying to solidify yourself as a starter, as a star. Do you feel like it's a different approach? Obviously, you always wanted to win, but do you feel like there's a different approach you can take now toward winning that you've established yourself?
I've always just wanted to win. Different approach. My approach was always to play hard and do everything as hard as I possibly can to whatever it takes to win games. And that was the most important thing that I've always done, is just do whatever it takes to win games.
Final question, left side in the back to Greg.
Kyle, you seem to be developing a really good chemistry with Kawhi on the court. Can you talk about off the court? Have you developed a relationship there as well, and what that relationship is like? What is he like away from the court?
Me and him, we're together a lot. As a team, we're always together. Me and him have developed a relationship off the floor. He's a great guy. He's just a regular guy. He's just like everyone. He's just a regular guy like everybody. Everybody else. He's not this. He's not that. He's just a regular, cool dude.
He's a fun guy.
He's a fun guy.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you for doing some work today.
You're welcome. Before you ask a question, and say your name and affiliation again before you ask the question. First question in front row on the left to Mark.
Steve, Mark Medina, Bay Area News Group. Are there any new medical updates with Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins, and what they can do moving forward?
No, Kevin is, I think we already announced he's not playing in game one. His next step is individual court work. So that, that will be the next priority over the next couple of days, and hopefully he can ramp that up. And then he's going to have to practice. We have to see him in practice before he can play a game, and he hasn't practiced yet.
Second question is on the left side, fourth row.
Anthony Slater with The Athletic. Have you decided yet on Cousins tomorrow, and then, right over here? Oh. And are you thinking about how you might use him, minute total, that type of thing?
Yeah, DeMarcus has done an amazing job coming back from the injury, which we felt at the time was season-ending. And so he's done an incredible job of rebounding, rehabbing, and now here he is. He's scrimmaged a couple times this week. He's pain-free. So it's really more a matter of rhythm and timing and conditioning, all those things. I think I mentioned the other day, if this were the regular season, I'd throw him out there and he'd play whatever minutes he could tolerate, and we'd build him up from there. It's not the regular season, it's the finals. So we have to figure out what's the best way to utilize him, how many minutes he can play, what the game feels like, what the matchups are like. And so some of that will be determined by, what's happening in the game, and the other stuff is just internal with our staff. Excuse me?
Active for sure in game one?
Not, it hasn't been decided yet.
Okay.
Same row, left side, Steve. Tim Cowell.
Tim Cowell on The Athletic. You've been asked and have answered about just the differences this series again after 4 previous against the same team, same city. But now that you're here, new team, starting on the road, new city, does it begin to hit you how different it does feel in the series?
Yeah, it's very different, and it's exciting. Toronto's always been a favorite stop, favorite city of mine, and I think a lot of people in the NBA. And it's a great crowd. I think going way back, before I was even coach of the Warriors, when I was doing TV, the 2 arenas that I felt were just the most electric were Oracle and here. And you could tell that there was just kind of this organic love and energy and passion for basketball in both places, because neither team was that good, and yet the arenas were filled, and there was so much excitement. And I think that the sense now that we have as a team is we can understand, we can feel how important this is to the whole country. So it's a different vibe, it's a different feeling, it's exciting, it's great for the game. Different for us, obviously, having been in Cleveland 4 straight years. But this is more the rule. That was the exception. I mean, you're not supposed to go to the finals 4 straight years, and you're definitely not, if you're lucky enough to do that, you're not supposed to play the same team 4 straight years. So that was really an oddity. This is more what the finals normally feel like, where you're going against a team you frankly don't know that well, and that you haven't seen that often over the previous few years.
4th row on the right side, 4th row. Eric.
Hey, Steve. Eric Corrine, The Athletic. I know it's a few years back. What do you remember about how Kawhi Leonard was performing in that game 1 before he injured himself against you guys? And how is he, based on the video you've seen, how has he grown as somebody you have to, game plan to slow down since then?
Well, that was, I believe, 2017. He was having a great game. The Spurs were kicking our butts. They were up 23 points. So they were having their way with us. But in terms of how Kawhi has grown, I don't know, he was Finals MVP in 2014. So 5 years later, he's probably a little bit older and wiser. He's definitely older. I think he's wiser. I think he's seen more. And, as you get older in your career, you especially as a great player like he is, you see more and more coverages. You see how different people play you. So he's probably a little more rounded as a player, more aware of how teams are trying to play him. But no matter how you slice it, he's been a superstar in this league, one of the top few players in the game for 5-6 years now.
Right side, 6th row back.
Steve, Dan Weinke with the Los Angeles Times. This postseason, we've seen Draymond get into incredible shape, and we've also heard him talk about not complaining and stuff like this. Is this a more mature version of him? And how has that played out this postseason?
He's been great on and off the floor. I mean, his leadership has been great. Yes, he lost some weight and got himself in much better condition over the last couple of months. You can just see it. Watching the 2 Toronto games on tape that we played. I think one of them he missed, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he played both. But he's a different guy. He looks different. He's slimmer and sleeker and faster. And I think that confidence has allowed him to be more poised on the floor. You know, when you're playing well and you're feeling good about yourself, it's easier to sort of maintain your emotions. And so I think there was some frustration earlier in the year when he wasn't playing as well. And he's such a passionate, competitive guy that some of those frustrations came out. But this is the best. You're seeing the best of Draymond right now. Great condition, unbelievably high level of play, and very poised. And it all, to me, it all ties together.
Final question, the right side in the back to Marcus.
Steve, Marcus Thompson with The Athletic. In what ways do you see how Kyle Lowry has put his imprint on this team? I know you're going against him. You've seen him over the years. What about this team kind of fits his personality in his game?
Well, he's tough. I mean, that's the thing that jumps out at you when you watch Kyle, is he's a leader and he's tough, you know, physically and mentally. And I think he's in a perfect role where he can lead without having to be the best player. He's, you know, they have the continuity now of having this team around him, and then you add Kawhi, the superstar, and now I think Kyle can be in the perfect role for himself and for his team, which is point guard, leader, and he can, you know, step up and have big games when he has to, but he's not relied on for that scoring night in and night out. And so it seems to me he's really thrived this year with Kawhi next to him.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Steph Caribbean next.
Quickly, but yeah, it wasn't a case of me contacting my agent and contacting teams and like, hey, we need to get back in the NBA. I was more than content to have an off-season starting in March and get some rest, and an opportunity and a call came from the Golden State Warriors. You obviously listen.
Is it a little surreal being back here again?
Yeah, it is. You know, it's full circle for me. Obviously, a very special time in my career was with the Golden State Warriors, and to have an opportunity to come back in any capacity, whether it's 1 minute a game or not playing at all, was just something I couldn't pass up.
How was playing back home in front of the people you grew up with, grew up in front of at least?
It was good. The league's an up-and-coming league, as we saw yesterday with one of the top high school prospects signing over there, and it's getting better. You know, the league's taken its hits over the last decade or so, but new ownership group that's taken over the league, a new commissioner, and I feel like the league's starting to get some momentum in a positive direction. There's still work to do, but it's been a really good, 12 months for the league, and hopefully it continues to carry on.
Actually, one question. So I guess you guys had 10 days off. Raptors had 5 days off. Do you think that kind of there's pros and cons kind of to that different kind of time off there? Mentally?
Maybe a little bit. You know, they obviously just came out of a tough series. We finished ours off pretty early, but once you get to this point, I mean, you can argue it either way. Depending on who wins game one, you can write a story saying it helped or it hindered us. So we're not too worried about it. We definitely were a team that needed those rest days. We have a lot of guys that were banged up at that point with Andre and obviously KD and DeMarcus. So we cherish those days and got some time to spend at home with our families before this circuit starts.
From what you've seen of the Raptors on the defensive end, like, what impresses you about the way they've defended the playoffs?
Well, they have length first and foremost. I mean, pretty much in all their positions, they have length. I mean, Kyle's not as long, but he's a bulldog. You know, defensively, he takes a lot of charges. He's physical. He's a high basketball IQ guy. I think his effect on a lot of games aren't statistical, in my opinion. I think he does a lot of little things that don't show up on a stat sheet. And you throw in Kawhi and Siakam, and they've got Ibaka off the bench, and Gasol, and Danny Green's a pretty good defender. You know, they got some guys that can defend. So they pose a lot of issues for most teams. You know, they can switch 1 through 5 at times, especially with Ibaka at the 5. So we just got to make sure we're not loose with the ball. That's something that we kind of have it as a staple coming into this series. If we're loose with the ball and not fundamental with our ball handling and passing, and they get in the lanes, Siakam and those guys can get out and run, we're in some trouble.
Andrew, when you look at a guy like Draymond and a guy like Kyle Lowry, do you see similarities in the way those guys kind of can sell out physically to extend possessions? And how valuable is it to have important, good players on your team when sort of tough sports?
Yeah, really important. I mean, unfortunately, in today's kind of sporting landscape, everyone just looks at a stat sheet at the end of the game and judges players based on what they have in the box score. They don't even watch games, but when you watch a game and you know anything about basketball, those two guys are prime examples of people that affect the game in so many different ways that you can't really, add up and put on a stat sheet. They're kind of the emotional leaders of their team, I think, for both guys. Kyle's always up and in and likes to get physical and take charges and get on the floor and get on loose balls, and Draymond's much of the same. So we know that both of those guys are vital for either team to win.
When you say emotional leadership, what do you mean by that? Is it just sort of like kind of the guys that push and things kind of?
Yeah, they're physical. They get on loose balls. They're happy to do the little things that win basketball games that might not show up on a stat sheet. Like I said, I mean, Draymond for us, just grabbing rebounds and being a wrecking ball and pushing the ball. He might not get an assist on the possession, but he opens up somebody else. His IQ to be able to switch 1 through 5 and clog up the paint and know when to help and when not to help, they're very important. So those guys, they show up in games like in a series like this, in a series like last series, because games in the playoffs, they do get bogged down, and you got to have guys. Those 1% possessions are very important.
The regular season matchups. I mean, you weren't here. Cousins didn't play. Marcus All wasn't a Raptor yet. There's a bunch of guys injured. Like, does it change preparation when you don't really have a lot to go on in terms of individual matchups with these teams as constructed now?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. But at the same time, our regular season was, even before I got there, we had injuries and guys in and out of lineups. They obviously had Valanciunas for I think 1 or 2 of the games. So yeah, it is completely different. We feel like we're facing a fresh new team that's playing kind of different basketball to when the Warriors played them earlier in the season. And they might feel the same about us. Obviously, with KD out of the lineup, we've changed the way we play a little bit, and made some tweaks. We obviously go much deeper into our bench, 11, 12, 13 guys sometimes. So they'll probably be thinking the same thing. It's going to be, game one's going to be a big feel-it-out game to see how teams adjust from there.
A lot of people are catching on to McKinney's story right now too, and I know that he's in a pretty good stage. What does it say about him when he came into the league and the way he's been there?
He's been great for us. He had huge plays throughout that Houston and that Portland series in vital moments of Game 6 and Game 4. A great guy in the locker room. He comes in, puts his work in, shooting the 3-ball at a clip, and he gets a lot of extra possessions for us as well. He's a very good offensive rebounder, very athletic, very strong. So it's a great story, and we have a lot of Looney. I mean, we have a lot of guys off our bench that continue to surprise people and aren't probably getting enough credit because we have Steph, Clay, KD, Draymond, Marcus. Our bench guys don't probably get as much attention, but I think that's kind of a reason why we're successful.
You came in via an open tryout in the G League into the league too.
It's a great story. I mean, it's a great story, not just for us, but for young kids out there that don't get drafted and kids that don't have great college careers. I mean, he went to UW Green Bay. It's not a hotbed for NBA scouts by any means, and he's grinded his way into an NBA career, and I think he'll have a very successful career going on from here.
What's your take on the new Draymond? He lost 23 pounds, decided to back up the ref. It's like he was a really good player in the regular season. All of a sudden now he's just...
I'm not sure. I mean, he's found something. Whatever he's found is working for him. I think he understands that, maybe that second final series when he got suspended, how much it hurt us not having him out there, and I think he knows, we can't afford to have him miss a game. So he's definitely toned off the refs, which has been great. I mean, he's an emotional guy, so you kind of don't want to bottle that up and put it away. Don't be emotional at all. You want him to be right on that line because that's what makes him so successful. At the same time, we can't afford to have him, get another tee or get suspended. As far as his diet, I'm not sure. Who knows? Maybe he's just eating less.
You've done that before, a few years ago, low sugar and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe it's the age. Once you get a little bit older, you got to try to take any advantage you can. Obviously, the extra amounts of fat and sugar when you're in your late 20s and early 30s as an athlete don't go out as easily as when you're in your early 20s or late teens.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.
People talk about
last one. Okay. The big dog.
People talk about emotional leaders like Draymond and Lowry, and yet during the last series there was a lot of talk in Toronto from their team about Kawhi and how even keely is publicly.
Left side, front row, Michael.
Steph, Michael Grange from Sportsnet, over to your left.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Welcome. About what point did you guys really start noticing that Toronto could be a team you'd end up crossing over against. Number one, and was it as far back as last summer? And number one, how kind of refreshing maybe is that, if that's a word, for you to have an opportunity to be in a finals that doesn't involve Cleveland?
I mean, probably the last 4 years, honestly. They've been knocking on the door. You always, keeping up with what's going on in the other conference, through every playoff run and chase. And obviously this year is the year they got over the hump. So realistically speaking, it was 10 days ago or 5 days ago when they, won Game 6 that you kind of lock in on what that experience is going to be like. One, starting on the road in the finals. Two, playing against a different team other than Cleveland, because Cleveland and the finals are pretty synonymous for us with our experience. But I would say just this entire year has been kind of wild for us, chasing the same goal but doing it with a lot of noise around us, and to be able to start here in Toronto against a different opponent in our fifth straight finals creates a great edge for us, and I like the energy that we're coming in with for Game 1.
Miriam Medaya from CBC Radio Canada. To follow up on what you just said, what is your mindset coming in and playing the first 2 games ever finals outside of the United States here in Toronto?
Honestly, that didn't really come into play for us. We've been here before. We understand the hoopla and the pandemonium around the finals and how different things are when it comes to just the schedule and the vibe. So we've seen a lot, and we'll be ready for it. It's just kind of got to get settled in, early. We know the crowd's gonna be crazy, and for us, it's a great opportunity to go out and just give her 110% and figure it out.
And for your family, what does it mean to be back here?
It's special. I talk about it every year. My dad having played here for 3 years. This is where he retired back in 2002. I lived here for a couple of years, went to school out here. So my wife grew up in Markham, right down the street. So a lot of family history, and a lot of, that side of the family still lives here. So I look forward to coming back here every regular season, and now to be in the finals. Something I've honestly been looking forward to if they ever, made it. So it's here, and going to enjoy it.
Right side, 5th row, Tim.
Steph, Tim Reynolds with the AP. What is sort of makes Kawhi so maybe more difficult to defend now than he's ever been before? And to that end, what sort of a comfort is it knowing that at any time you guys have an Andre or a Clay or a Draymond who can be in front of him whenever you guys choose to match up however you will?
I mean, he's tough. Obviously, he's been playing amazing this whole playoff run and really all season. He's always at his own pace and never seems to get rushed or be in a hurry. He's obviously physically gifted and strong and can get to his spots, but he's become a really good shooter. When he gets even off the dribble, getting to a spot, rising up. And his counters are pretty solid too. You take one thing away from him, he can shift directions, try to get a shoulder by you, get into the paint. He uses the entire floor really well. So for us, knowing, like you said, we have some beyond capable defenders to guard him. It's going to take on that one-on-one challenge. It's going to be important, but it's also, like we always say and what we always do when we're executing, at a high level, is it's all 5 guys being on a string, being able to send help and rotate, and they have shooters as well that you got to be aware of. And as of late, the Milwaukee series, some guys got hot and played off Kawhi really well. So you want to make it as difficult as possible on him. And all the other guys who are helping and rotating, try to take away their threes and rebound the basketball and make him defend on the other end as well.
Left side, 4th row, Kerr.
Hi, Steph. Jeremy Lin shared his favorite memory of you. It was from back in the day. You guys were teammates. The Warriors were struggling at that time. You had gone through some injuries. And then before game 82, he said you rolled your ankle. So he joked he was expecting to start that game. But no, you came out to play. So a couple questions off that. Do you remember that, playing in that game 82? Do you have a favorite moment with Jeremy? And then what is the bond that forms between young players on a struggling team, and how does that carry forward?
I vaguely remember that. When you say ankle rolls, I have to go through the whole Rolodex of 50 different times. So it's hard to pick out one. But I do remember him in the years that we played against him, or with him in Toronto. I mean, I'm all over the place. When we played against or played with him in the Bay. And so when he was there, my impressions of him is just how hard he worked and on a daily in practice. Challenging me, challenging the guards that we had, Clay, in terms of trying to make us better and establish himself as an NBA player. And like most of the world, is my favorite thing about him is his perseverance. I remember when can't remember exactly who came out on the court, but when he got waived in the middle of training camp and ends up in Houston, I think, and then ends up in New York. And obviously, Linsanity takes over. It's not a lot of people that can, go through that many defeats, if you will, and still have the self-confidence that, whenever that opportunity does present itself, I'm gonna take advantage of it. And he's made an amazing career, out of that. So, and just him as a human being, he's a great dude. That when you talk about guys on struggling teams trying to make it, that bond and that work ethic and just the attitude of we're just going to appreciate every opportunity we have to play basketball, that means a lot for sure.
Two more questions, front row left.
Hey, Steph. Mark Medina, Bay Area News Group. What's it going to take for the team to continue to hold down the fort without Kevin, given the unique challenges that Toronto presents?
We just keep doing what we've been doing and doing it by committee. We've had amazing contributions from everybody on the bench that's come in and produced for us on both ends of the floor. So we're going to have to play smart. Myself stay out of foul trouble. Draymond continue to do what he's doing in terms of dominating both sides of the floor. And just play with confidence and play fast, play loose. And as Coach say, play discipline. So, we know what we're capable of, and when he does come back, we'll be able to transition and hopefully elevate our game even more. So, great opportunity for us, no matter who's playing.
Final question, right side in the back.
Josh Lewenberg, TSN. Steph, in your years playing against Kyle Lowry, watching Kyle Lowry, where have you seen the evolution in his game, and what challenges does he present in a 7-game series?
I mean, he's tough and scrappy and just a high IQ, basketball player that, in terms of just, he's always seems to be in the mix, whether he's taking a charge or getting a loose ball or getting a steal or knocking out a big shot. And I know he's heard a lot of noise throughout these playoff runs here in Toronto, trying to get over the hump and whatnot, but he's just a very solid basketball player that knows how to play the game and knows how to impact it. So you just got to know where he is at all times. You got to match his energy because that'll be there, especially at home, and that it's gonna be fun. And guys like that bring the best out of you for sure.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
Right side, second row. Go ahead, Mark.
Clay, Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
Draymond said a few days ago that he is the best defender ever. Wondering if you could react to that kind of claim and talk about another defender and his abilities, Kawhi Leonard, in this series.
I mean, both those two can be in the argument, especially of our time, this generation. I think they will be forever remembered as this generation's of some of the greatest defenders. Obviously, both Defensive Player of the Years, and can guard multiple positions, and their versatility is what, to me, stands out the most. It's not like they're just protecting the rim, but they can guard 1 through 5 and do it so effectively. So that's my thoughts on both them.
As for Draymond's claim that he's the best ever,
I agree. It's my teammate of 7 years, so I will forever have his back, and fellow champion. So he's a 3-time champion for a reason, just because, like I said before, his versatility on the defensive end is amazing.
Left side, 5th row.
Hi, over here. Corin McCallum, TSN. In the next 2 weeks or so, if a Drake song comes up on a playlist or just plays, do you skip it or do you take it out of the playlist?
If it's a bad song, I'll skip it. But if it's one of his hits, I'll play it. I've been a Drake fan since, I was in high school. He's a great artist. Do I like him as a Raptor fan? No, but I like him as a musician. He's extremely talented. But I will definitely skip the song if I don't like it. And if it's one of his soft, R&B songs, I'm gonna skip it because I'm in kill mode right now. Trying to get these 4 games. So I'll skip Hotline Bling and anything along that line. Yeah.
Right side in the back.
Yeah.
Clay, Jordan Fontaine, Sportsnet. Just talking about legacy in pro sports, the finals appearances, the titles. It's not an easy thing to do it so often. What's the legacy of this team?
Oh, man. That's a great question. It's hard to formulate that answer right now because I think we're in the midst of a dynasty run that's still ongoing. But hopefully, when it's all said and done, people will just remember us for our talent, for our ability to play as a team, and the consistency for year in and year out, being able to reach the finals and, perform at the highest level.
Back in the middle, Brian.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press. Clay, I know this is a new opponent, but you've played a lot of these guys previously in the Western Conference playoffs, so you're familiar with them. How do you evaluate this team versus what you saw last year against Cleveland, comparing the two teams?
Well, they're similar in the aspect that they have an MVP caliber player in Kawhi Leonard, and then they have everyone else who knows their roles, and they do them very well. Kyle Lowry's been a staple, obviously, and one of the greatest to ever put a uniform on for this franchise. So you got to give Kyle a ton of credit for, willing this team here, especially when he's heard all the criticism about his game, about his performance in the playoffs. But for him to come back and make it here is amazing, and just to kind of, prove all them wrong. And then they got, another guy in Siakam who I'm a big fan of. I think his ability to scoring ability around the rim is really, really good, and he's like a modern-day power forward. He's the type of guy you want in that 4 spot. Then Van Fleet's obviously been shooting the ball very well the last few games. But yeah, they have a very good team, and they're here for a reason, so you can't take them lightly just because they haven't been here before. So they have our respect, and we'll come correct tomorrow.
Any other questions? Thank you, Clay. Right side, 2nd row, Mark.
Draymond, Mark Schwartz, ESPN. I saw a couple of days ago you described yourself as the best defender ever. Can you talk about why you have that kind of conviction about your place on the all-time list and where Kawhi Leonard ranks for you?
I think as a competitor, if you're trying to do something meaningful, if you don't have the mindset that you're the best ever, you failed already. So if you don't have the mindset that you are the best reporter ever, then you already failed. And that's been my mindset since I can remember. That will be my mindset as long as I can remember anything, that I am the best ever at what I do. And every day that I step on the basketball floor, I will strive to be that. But my mindset will always be as such as I am the best to do what I do. And that'll give me a shot at being the best. But before you can ever reach anything, you have to believe it. You don't just mistakenly become great at something. You probably at one time or another, believe that you can be great at that. And then you work to get great at that, and you reach that greatness. But you don't mistakenly become great. And then you start to believe, oh man, I'm great at that. No, you believed that before, and you work to get that. So I always believe that, and I'll work every day to reach that.
Now, Kawhi has a great nickname based on his defense, Claw. If he has a great nickname...
I think he got that nickname because he has some of the largest hands we all have seen. However, his defense is great.
If he's Claw, what are you?
I'm Draymond.
Left side in the back, Anthony.
Anthony Sater with The Athletic. What kind of challenge is DeMarcus facing just as an athlete who hasn't played in, 6 weeks or so, and he's probably going to get dropped in this series at the later stages of his rehab and have to kind of survive on the court?
A huge challenge. When you talk about DeMarcus, he's someone who's been great in this league for years now. He's probably played basketball, 16 of the last 19 months. So that right there alone is a challenge in itself. Then you start to talk playoff experience, where you and I both know the intensity level is completely different than a regular season game, and he doesn't have much playoff experience. And then you get dropped in the NBA Finals. It's kind of like some kid who grew up in the suburbs going to private school, and then one day you just got dropped in the hood and was told to survive. You gotta figure that out. It's very similar to that. Now, in saying that, if you're that kid that dropped in the hood, what do you revert to? You just revert to what you know. You do whatever it is that you know, you just try to do that to survive. Well, one thing we do know is DeMarcus is a great basketball player. So at that point, then you just go out there and you do what you're great at. And everything else will fall in line. But I think it's also on us. That kid has a much better chance of surviving if he get with the right group of friends in that neighborhood. It's on us as his teammates to help pull him through, to get whatever we can out of him to help make us a better team and do whatever we can to put him in the best position to be successful.
Draymond will go to the right side. Dan.
Draymond, Dan Weinke with the Los Angeles Times. I'm curious, when you watch Toronto, do you see any of your traits in Kyle Lowry in the way that you guys kind of sell out to win individual possessions? And what's sort of your impression of Kyle Lowry?
I mean, Kyle, I got mad respect for Kyle. A friend, first off. We won a gold medal together. And Kyle is a guy who got it out the mud. He wasn't always an all-star. He wasn't always a starter, but he got it out the mud, and he's where he's at today. He's faced a lot of doubt. He's been criticized a ton this year and previous years before. But yet, he's still standing, and he's here in this moment, and, it's well-deserved.
Left side in the back to Joseph.
Joseph Cacharo, the scorer. Draymond, sticking actually with the you and Lowry comparison. A lot of guys in the scrums out there have referred to both you and Kyle as the emotional leaders of each respective team. And I was just wondering if you can kind of put into words what you think that title means to you, or, how you describe that title.
That title means a lot to me, but with that title comes great responsibility, because when you are an emotional leader, your team feeds off that. And if you don't bring that, your team usually lacks in that area. And so as it is, we play Steph got to score. Clay got to score. Like, that's their job. That's the reality of it. I have to bring that emotion to the table. That's my job. That's the reality of it. But yet it's something that I enjoy. It's a role that you don't get nights off. You're going to have off nights shooting. You're going to have nights where you turn the ball over. You're going to even have nights where you don't get as many rebounds. You don't get off nights as an emotional leader, and if you do, the ramifications, they're not good. So you just got to make sure you're always on and trying to bring that every single night.
Right side, first row, Phil.
Hey, Draymond. Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press Democrat. You guys have had to prepare for a lot of great individual players in the playoffs over the last few years. Is preparing for Kawhi a little different in that he isn't really dominant at one or two things, but he seems to be good at just about everything on the court? Is that a unique challenge?
I wouldn't necessarily say he's not dominant because he just dominates the game. And so I think the challenge with Kawhi is it doesn't look the same. Like, when Steph dominated the game, like Kevin dominated the game, Damian Lillard dominated the game, LeBron dominated the game. Like, it does not look the same as when Kawhi is dominating the game. And so it can fool you to just say, we can just guard him this way, or, we can do this, or, we don't have to put too much focus into him. We still got to, because it doesn't look the same. It's not as pretty. But boy, is it effective. And so, where a lot of those guys that I just named are like natural God-given scorers, Kawhi isn't that. Kawhi didn't come into this league as a scorer. Yet he's one of the best scorers we have in the league now. And so it just doesn't look the same, but the results are the same or better. And, he's really worked to get to where he is today. Well, with that type of work that he's put in also comes a different mindset, because you also understand how much you had to work to get to where you are today. And that comes with a different mindset, a different appreciation. When you have that different appreciation, it shows in your play, and it showed in his play, and it shows in their team being in the NBA Finals.
Two more questions. Monty in the back, right side.
Draymond, your team's defense in the playoffs this year has been so-so in the first half and really good in the second half. It's almost like a pattern. And I'm wondering if you noticed that. And second of all, do you think that tendency will be good enough in this series?
Well, I always think anything we do will be good enough. That's the confidence I have in our group. And saying that, I don't think we necessarily purposely say, our defense will be okay in the first half, but in the second half, we're going to turn it on. I do think we have the ability to say, okay, we weren't that good and we need to focus more here. Let's lock in this half on this defense side of basketball. I do think we have that ability. But you don't go into a series and you don't go into a game with that mindset. You're going into the series. You want to put 48 minutes of great basketball out there on both ends of the floor. And that'll always be our mindset. It's kind of played out the way it's played, but, that's never the goal.
Right next to Monty, Dieter in the back.
Hey, Dieter Kurtenbach, Bay Area News Group. Steve said earlier that this is the best Draymond, what we're seeing right now, so I kind of have to ask, are you peaking right now?
I don't know what that word means, peaking. I hope not. I hope I continue to play better and better and show signs of peaking. But I hope it's not really me peaking. I hope I'm still getting better. So, I don't believe in peaking. That's funny.
That's it for the interview room for today. Thank you.
See you.